Welcome back to this 12-day series, The Rich Method. We are going to be covering one of my favorite topics and what I like to call my secret sauce. And this is how to get people to promote with you. How do you get people to promote you, your business, your offers, your events, whatever it is that you sell? We're going to be talking about this today. And many people look at successful people and wonder, do they know something I don't? And let me just do one thing real quick. I need to spotlight this. I can tell you the answer is sometimes yes. And this is what I would say is the thing that most people don't know and most people don't do. So I posted on social media today that 99% of people, they've never had anyone promote their business. And this is why it grows at the pace that it does. I want to give a little bit of a backstory before I go into the things I'm going to teach you. But just so you know, we're going to cover three main things today. So by the time you leave here, you're definitely going to know how to do this. You can actually go implement this the minute you click off of this training. So what are we going to cover? Let me look at my notes. We're going to look at how to borrow other people's audiences if you don't have a big one. So there's really no excuse. It's not like, oh, I have to wait until I'm at a certain point in my business. I have to wait till I have a certain number of followers. No, you can borrow other people's audiences immediately. Also, if you already have an audience, if you already have friends and followers and an email list, you can expand it exponentially by using what I teach you today. Number two, I'm going to teach you who to ask to promote with you. There's certain people that are better than others, and what to provide for them so it's easy. What are you going to do for them? How are you going to prep them? What will you do to make it really easy for them? We're going to cover all of this and probably more. Now, I'm going to say this from the beginning. I'm actually hosting a big event April 29th, and this is going to be where we take a deep dive into this topic and we practice in real time. If you're watching this, today, and this is pre-event, I recommend that you get your ticket. They're $21. If you watch this and it's like, oh, this event has already happened, you can still get the replay and access to it by joining Rich Mixer. So let's look at the backstory. What I want to tell you is this is a strategy that I have used since day one in our business. But the truth of the matter is I used this strategy before I started my business. And many of you've probably utilized this concept in one way or another in your life, but you may not be applying it as thoroughly as you can to your business. So way back in the day, when I was 21 years old, I went to a whole survivalist school experience, actually here in Central Florida. And I learned how to do all the things. If I have no running water, no electricity, if I have to grow my own food, if I have to go out and, shoot a pig, a deer, whatever it was, I learned all of the things. And on the last day of this experience, it was announced that the Albania state-run orphanage in the capital city needed someone to be there with the kids. There was 120 kids ages 5 to 18 that had no adult there around the clock. Now, this was back during the Kosovo crisis. And as soon as I heard this, I knew I wanted to go. Now, I didn't want to go because I had an education or training or experience. I didn't have any of that. I just knew I want to go. And so I immediately said, I'm the person, tell the orphanage I'm coming. I then drove all the way back to Colorado. My parents are watching the news, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to break it to them that I already signed up to go live in an orphanage with 120 kids who speak a different language than me in a country that is in absolute chaos. But that's what I did. And so I moved to Albania, and I had to ask for help. It wasn't an option for me. I was young. I had been raised in a very, very small town. When I say small town, I mean like less than 10,000 people. I knew everyone there. Everyone knew me. And so it was the first time. I'm thousands of miles away from home. I have no contacts. I have no connections. And so I had to ask for help. And essentially, what I'm going to teach you today is how to ask for help. Most people are very bad at this. So as soon as I got to Albania, I met a woman who was in and out of the orphanage from time to time. She was not in the orphanage all the time, but she had spent time there and she knew some people. So I spent time with her. And then I asked her, what do I need to do for my visa? Because I want to be able to stay for a year and I don't know what the process is. Now, looking back, I probably shouldn't have even worried about it because I don't know who the heck was going to kick me out of the country. Nevertheless, she said, oh, you need to talk to this lady. And it was her next door neighbor. And so I did. I had observed enough to know when you ask an Albanian for a favor, you go take them to coffee, you do a ritual with them. So I took her to coffee and we had the coffee. And then after the coffee, I asked her, do you know someone who could help me with my visa? And she said, my husband's an attorney. He knows everyone who's everyone. He will handle everything for you. Give me these documents, and in 2 or 3 weeks, it will be done, and you'll never have to go anywhere or speak to anyone. You will not go through the process like everyone else does. Now, I knew other Americans who were with Red Cross and various NGOs, and they had a very different experience getting their visa. They went to the office they were supposed to go to, no one was there. People don't really do business hours in Albania, if you know what I'm talking about. And then when they would find someone, they'd tell them, you need to have these 10 papers. And then when they'd bring the 10 papers, they'd say, oh no, these are the wrong ones. You need to get different ones. And then they would ask for a bribe. And then they would tell them this. It was a big runaround. People who went through the process on their own, 3, 6, 9 months later, they're pulling their hair out. They have spent so much in bribes, in coffees, in conversations that went nowhere. And mine, I never did any of that. I spoke to one woman who spoke to her husband, who took care of it, and everything was done. These two tracks are similar in business. There's people who will create offers and they'll come online and they'll promote and they'll do the things that you need to do. And if you watched day 2, I talk about that you do have to do things. There's this beautiful fantasy. I wish it was true that you could, sit in your house and have beautiful energy and you could be aligned with your mission and you could be in tune with your life's purpose and you're just going to attract people. You might attract some every now and again, but it's not a way to build a business. It's not a level that you can depend on and count on. So if you haven't watched day 2, I want you after this to go watch it because I talk about the importance of communication and talking every single day about who you are, what you do, and how people can join you. That's a necessary step. But for people who only do that and don't do what we talk about today, they will move at a pace that is much slower, much more complicated, much more full of challenges, just like the people who decided to go get their visa done on their own and they went through all of this nonsense. It was the longest path and the hardest path to the final destination and to the thing that they wanted to achieve. Are you doing this the hard or the easy way? That's really what we're going to get at today. The hard way is promoting alone. The easy way is promoting and having other people promote alongside you. Can you imagine what your business would look like, what your sales would look like, how many people would be working with you, how much money you'd be making, how much more fun you'd be having if you had 3, 12, 24, 50, or 100 people promoting with you? Yesterday, I said that in the last 9 months, 100 people promoted my business, my services, my offers, my links, my stuff all over the internet, on their social media profiles, in their Facebook groups, to their email list, private messages, contacting their clients, their friends, their colleagues, their favorite people, and saying, hey, listen, you got to do this thing. Now, Tell me what you think is necessary in order to have somebody do that for you, because this is usually the biggest thing is there's a lot of preconceived ideas. So you might think that you have to be very established, like you have to have ticked off certain things, you have to have a certain audience size, you have to have certain things already done. You also might think that that's just what people do for special people. What I will tell you today is this is what people do for those who ask. The biggest lesson of Albania for me, so I was in Albania for 3 years. I went on to do this similar work in Nairobi, Kenya, and then I went back and forth to Albania for all of time. Albania is where I took my husband and my kids, and what Albania taught me was this, is when you need help, ask for it, and when you ask for it, you'll always get it. So how willing are you to ask for help in your business? This is really, really important because there's a couple dynamics at play, and we just want to name them right off the bat. Number one, most of the time, entrepreneurs are incredibly independent people. They're independent thinkers. This is what makes us tick. Entrepreneurs are college dropouts. Entrepreneurs are rebels. Entrepreneurs are people who can't hold a 9 to 5, who cannot take orders from a boss, who cannot follow the path and be told what to do every minute of every day. This is when you can have your lunch, and this is when you can go potty, and this is how much money you can make, and this is what you're going to do. We don't like that. We don't conform well. And so we are naturally rebellious, independent, free thinking. We know what we want to do, and we want to do it our way. Now, the other component is this. I have clients in 43 countries. Okay, so this isn't going to apply to everyone, but it is prevalent beyond America. So I'm an American. So for Americans and for people who have been influenced by America, we are also a country that values independence. And I love freedom, and I love independence. And I love this idea that I can be my own person, and I can blaze my own path, and I can do what I want. But the interesting thing is that this is a double-edged sword in business. It's a double-edged sword in everything, truthfully. But today we're going to talk about how it can work against us in business. Now, interestingly enough, the second lesson that Albania gave me was I met a Korean my first day at language school. So I had the kids teaching me in the day and helping me. And then I went to a language class as well a couple days a week. And immediately this Korean lady just, when people pick you, she picked me. She just plopped herself right next to me. And the interesting thing was her English wasn't good. And of course, I didn't know Korean. And so our common language was Albanian. So we were both motivated to learn Albanian because that was how we could communicate with each other. And she just adopted me. And what I learned is that she lived in a building full of Koreans. This group of Koreans had come to build a pharmacy. There was doctors and pharmacists and nurses. They built a clinic, and then they all lived in the same building, and they all had every meal together, and they all watched each other's kids, and they all worked together. Koreans are a master class in teamwork. Now, they don't value independence like we do in here in America. So there was this independent American. They couldn't believe I went to Albania by myself. They're like, what, why? What are you thinking? Do you not know anyone? Do you not have family or friends? Are you okay? That's why she adopted me, because that's such a foreign concept. They go do things, in groups of 30, 50, have you ever seen tourists at certain places? There's like a whole busload. They don't go on vacation by themselves, right? And the Koreans taught me how to be a community and how to work as a team. So you fast forward to when Derek and I started our business in 2009. And I remember, like, the Koreans were in my head. They taught me so much because I basically lived with them. I watched them and I observed them. They could get so much work done in such a small amount of time. They had such a huge impact on that capital city because they worked together. And so when Derek and I decided to start our business, maybe for similar reasons that you did. So we were newlyweds. We had no money. We had no plan of getting money. We didn't really have a career path. He was an artist with an art degree. You all know how valuable that is in the world. I had no work experience. I had been a volunteer overseas. And so I said, Derek, this is the thing is let's put our heads together and let's have a business together and let's work together, thinking like the Koreans. And let's not, you go to a job and I go to the job. Let's use your strengths and my strengths and let's figure something out. And so when we put together our business, we were thinking like Whole Foods. If you didn't watch video one, you want to think like Whole Foods. I was thinking about the people who were already successful, already established, already on their path, already figured most things out, but hadn't figured a few things out. So we decided to cater our business to boomers who had success and money, but they were scared of the internet and they hadn't figured that out. And then I told Derek, I'm going to ask 12 people who I've been observing at networking events because I was already out and about getting to know people and networking before we even had everything solidified because I was wanting to get a lay of the land. Also what the Koreans taught me. And I said, I'm going to ask 12 people. I think I called them power partners back then, if they'll be my power partner. And essentially, I'm going to ask them to introduce me to people. I'm going to train them on, one offer in my business. I'm going to help them with something, and then I'm going to ask them for this. I'm going to ask for help because I need help. I'm new in business. I have no experience. I don't know everybody. And it's going to be a lot easier and a lot faster if I do this. That worked really well. It worked really, really well. I got immediate personal introductions. Hey, listen, I'm going to take you to lunch and you can meet my friend Suzanne. She owns 3 restaurants and she needs your help. The easiest sales I could possibly get. So actually about a year ago, before we even had a single offer for Network Like the Rich, I was on social media. I was having conversations. I was posting. I was talking. I was moving, kind of like I did back then. Before I had a single offer, I told Derek I got to do a similar thing. We've got to make it really easy for people to be able to share what we're doing. This is why your entry point offer is really important. I'm going to talk about that. So I just use these same principles and ask people to share my stuff. Now, how many of you have people who know you or who have spent money with you, who have had some experience with you? They've attended one of your workshops or webinars or events, or they have been participated in one of your programs. If you have people like that, those are the first people that you're going to ask to promote with you. Yeah, they're the first people. Because they already have some level of information and awareness about who you are, how you work. They know more about you. If you don't have that, that's okay. I'm going to give you some tips on what to do if you're at square one. Because I did this from square one in Tucson before I had a single client. But let's be clear here. The reason this is so important is because of this. You have a certain sphere or circle of influence, right? So let's go over the different groups that you might have access to. Do you all have social media profiles and have friends and followers there? Do you have an email list? Do you have a Facebook group? Are you in other people's Facebook groups? Okay. So basically, you have to have one of these things. If you have absolutely nothing for yourself, you have access to other people's Facebook groups. Now, if you have a local business, you can go search local groups. I did this yesterday. I've recently moved to Venice, Florida, and so I went and searched groups for my area because I want to know what's going on and what do people recommend, and there's probably going to be announcements about what kids can get involved with and this, that, and the other. So I joined some Facebook groups for my local. So if I had a local business, this is what I'm going to tell you. If I had a local business, I'd be tearing it up in those local Facebook groups because most local businesses don't know how to do this really well. They don't know how to promote themselves online. They don't know how to speak in other people's groups. In our little town in Colorado, I would post for my dad. He's a realtor, and I'd post in the local groups. I could get 40, 60,000 views on a post in a community that has 20,000 in the whole county. Okay. I could make him the most visible realtor by simply doing one post in a local group. It's wild how fast you can do this. If you have an online business, you can do the same thing. You're probably already in a bunch of groups, but you're going to go search for groups. You might want to be in groups that are related to your specific business. So maybe you want to be in perimenopause groups. Maybe you want to be in writers groups. I highly recommend that in addition to that, you're also in business groups and entrepreneur groups, because those are the people who are usually the most motivated, right? So can anyone write their book? Yes. Who's going to pay the most to write their book? Someone who owns a business. Can you help anyone who has perimenopause symptoms? Yes. Who's the most motivated to pay for perimenopause solutions? People who own a business, people who have a very established career. So I would recommend you can go check out groups that are unique to your business and your services and your offers, and then also be part of business groups and entrepreneurial groups. If you have a local business, make sure you're in all the local groups. So this gives you access to other people's audiences immediately. Now, when in the past, when I've taught about how to utilize Facebook groups, people go, well, how long do I need to introduce myself and warm people up, and how long does it take? And I always say this, that's assuming a lot of things. When we think we have to do all of these steps before we do the step, it's assuming a lot of things. People don't know, and they don't care how long you've been part of a group. If you immediately start posting things that get people's attention, if you immediately start speaking intelligently about what you do and how it helps people, you'll get their attention. There's no ramp that there's no runway that you have to go through. Just get to it. So Facebook groups are a perfect way to borrow an audience. And the way that we're going to talk about it today is that the people that you ask to promote with you, you want to know if they have a Facebook group. Okay, so there's a few tiers to this. So who are the best people to ask to promote with you? The people who have some sort of experience with you. They've bought from you, they've worked with you, they've been in some level of proximity to you. Now, the best of those people are people who have a Facebook group and who have an email list. People who have their own circle, people who have more followers, right? So someone could have 232 friends on Facebook, or someone could have 5,400 followers. Big difference, right? But you start wherever you need to start. These are just things for you to keep in mind. Is this making sense so far? We want to be able to leverage other people's audiences. We want to be able to have other people talking about us, because here's the thing. You all already know this. You can talk about yourself all day long, and you must. Let me make that really, really clear. You must. If you want a lot of people to move towards you, you have to talk about who you are, what you do, and what you offer, and invite people into that all the time, nonstop. When people go, well, I don't have the bandwidth to do social media, Monique. And I just don't think that I should have to chase people. And I just don't think that I should have to da da da. I say, you're missing the point. Let's talk about perception for just 1 second, because perception is reality, especially online. What do you believe about the people? What do you perceive and assume about people who show up all the time on social media, who are clear, they have a message, they have offers, they are constantly promoting and speaking and doing their thing? Do you assume that they have their act together? Do you assume that they have their ducks in a row? Do you assume they're actually in the game? Yeah, they're doing it. They're not talking about doing it. They're not dreaming about doing it. They're actually doing it. Now, what do you assume about people who they have a social media profile? They never said, they don't say a word on there. They don't post. They might comment every now and again. When they do post, they share someone else's post and they're like, this is so inspiring. They quote other people, but they don't create anything themselves. What do you assume about them? Do you assume that they maybe aren't quite in the game yet, that they don't quite know what they're doing, that maybe they're not quite with it? So this is why listening to video 2 is so important, and consistently showing up is so important, because there is this element that most people do not understand is when I ask you to promote my stuff, if you for 1 second think associating with her is going to lower my profile in any way, you won't do it. Plain and simple. On the other hand, if when I ask you, hey, Donica, will you share my thing? And you go, associating with her actually can only do one thing for me. It can just elevate my profile in the eyes of others. Then you will do it without hesitation. And actually, you have your own reason for sharing it. When people associate themselves with me, when people promote my stuff, when people buy my stuff, I absolutely am going to deliver on what they paid for. But above and beyond that, I'm going to make sure that associating with me elevates them in the eyes of others. This is an important piece of the puzzle. So you have a variety of people you can ask. We're just going to go through the list so it's clear. So in Tucson, I observed the people who other people respected. I observed the people who had their act together. I observed the people who had perfect attendance at networking events. They showed up early, they stayed late. They were prepared. They knew what the heck they were going to say when it was their turn to say their 60-second commercial. They were dressed appropriately, right? It's kind of crazy to say, but in this day and age, it's kind of like some people don't know that they should get dressed and comb their hair before they leave the house. You could go to some places and it's like, do people not have a mirror? Do not people not understand? Like they just didn't have a mama, I guess, right? I observed the people who clearly were respected and leading and doing things. Those are the people I asked to be my power partners. Now, immediately I know what's going to go through your mind. Well, why would they want to be my power partner? Why did the people who were way more established than me want to be my power partner? It's really, really simple, and I want you to listen to this. Because I had the guts to place myself in the same position on equal footing with them by asking them. Let that sink in. Most people, they would approach the most established, respected people, and they would be like, oh, they would just never want to do that for me. And what am I going to give them in return? And I just, they're just like so much further along. And they get into this, and then they behave that way around them. When people do this, when we do this, when we behave lower than other people around people that we want to treat us like an equal and a colleague, they just won't, because it's like, why would you put yourself in a lower position and then ask them to partner with you? Because then you're downgrading them. Leave them where they are, rise to the occasion, behave like this is where you belong. Do not say, you probably are busy, you probably wouldn't do this, I just have to ask. Drop the nonsense. Drop the insecurities, the self-consciousness, and just behave like you're already there. Because when you hang out with these people and they're talking about you, that's who you become. Then you're there. Just behave like you've already arrived there, and you will be there. So I left all of that out. I didn't say, I just started my business and you have 47 years in business and but what'd you do? No, And no one's doing me a favor. I just have a clear ask. So this is exactly what I told them. I said, this is what I put together. And I've already put it together. I'm not asking them to put it together for me. I'm not asking them for their input. I'm not asking them to figure out my stuff. This is what I put together. This is what I've done. This is what I said. I already put this together. I'm putting 12 people together, 12 leaders who are willing to do these things for each other. We are willing to have a quick conversation to talk about what we are focused on promoting this week or this month. We are going to make sure it's clear to everybody who the right ideal client is. And then you're just going to think about who's already in your circle, who's already in your contacts list that you can make a personal introduction for. And when we are on social media together, we're going to friend each other, and I'll comment and like on your post, and you'll comment and like on my post. Do you want to be one of my 12? Yes or no? That's what I did. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'd love to be one of your 12. That sounds incredible. I would love that. That's what they said. Every single one of them. So I immediately had 12 people who were scanning their whole world, thinking about me and my business and who they could introduce to me. And then they were also posting, commenting and liking my post on social media. So it didn't look like I was talking to myself. So that's how I did it with people I didn't know, people who had not worked with me. Even if someone hasn't worked with you, there's a way to demonstrate that you're a leader, to demonstrate you're smart, to demonstrate you have good ideas, and demonstrate that there's a benefit for them and you. And guess what? People who are established and people who have made money, they appreciate that, because let's not fool each other. We're not here to do this for our health. It's not like, oh, well, you should just do this because you're a good person. No. Real business owners know that's nonsense. So that's a strategy number one. A strategy number two is this. This is what I did with Network Like the Rich. I promoted one offer for 30 days. Actually, I think I went over 30 days. I sold about 70 people in it. And I went to them. They would join. And I would say, Barbara, congratulations. I'm so excited to have you in the 12-day networking challenge. This is where you're going to start. And then I'd go to Barbara like 2 days later and I'd say, hey, Barbara, would you be willing to share the 12-day networking challenge on your profile if I gave you everything that you needed to do so? Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. I think there's people in my world who would really benefit from this. Okay, great. Every single person who buys from me, I then turn around. You all watched me do this again yesterday. Everyone who bought a ticket to my Collab Like the Rich live event, I did a graphic, I did a post, I tagged them in it. There's also personal DMs going out. There's emails. A lot of people have already signed up to be affiliates simply because I said, would you share this event as well? I'm so happy you're coming. Would you share it on your profile? Would you share it in your group? Now, the third and most advanced tier I'm going to teach you today, there's obviously, 42 more steps we could get into because six-figure collaborations are much more advanced. But the third tier I'm going to teach you today is this, is you could ask 1, 2, or 3 people to go live with you, to talk about the thing they're doing with you, or the program they were in, or the experience they had with you, or what they know to be true about you, and talk about the thing that you're promoting. And you have this other person who's alongside you who's saying, yeah, she's good. She knows her stuff. You should do her thing. Buy it here. When you do this in any format, I've done this in a lot of formats. I've done it in roundtable conversations. I've taken clients who have had some sort of win with me, brought us all into a Zoom, live streamed on social media, and just asked them about their experiences and just had a conversation and let other people be the fly on the wall watching us. I've done it where it's just one other person and me, and we're sitting side by side and we're talking about this, that, or the other. You can't fake this stuff on social media. You can't, somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, who isn't taking these steps, they could make up a fake testimonial. They could put anything that they want in any post. But when you get yourself and other people and your faces and your voices on video and they're talking about what it was like to go to your last thing and why people should come to your next thing, that's the proof in the pudding right there. That's legit. So, what do we give them to help it make it easy and to help them be successful? Because remember when I said, hey, Barbara, I'm so happy that you're in the 12-day networking challenge. Would you post this on your wall if I gave you everything you needed? Here's everything that they need. They need a graphic. If you don't know how to make graphics, if you're not good at making graphics, if you hate Canva like I do, you can go to any one of your favorite AI things and just say, hey, make me a graphic, use these colors, say this, that, and the other. You could ask someone else to make you a graphic, right? If graphic is going to be the holdup, then just give them a picture of your face. Give them a selfie, give them a picture of your mug. We will not let anything get in the way. Just give them some visual. You're going to give them the link where people can purchase the thing. You're going to make sure the link is working. If you have an affiliate program, there's advanced things that we can do with that. I'm going to cover that at the event. But they need a link. You don't want to put them in a position where the post says like comment or DM me and then they don't have the link and then they have to do like a 3-way conversation. We just make it simple. And then they need a short, concise, powerful post. They need the copy. A lot of people who share my stuff, they're savvy enough to come up with their own posts. They've worked with me. They know how they want to say it. But for most people, that's asking too much of them. Then they're going to have to stop and think, and it's going to be a thing that's added to their to-do list. We do not want it to ever hit their to-do list. When I ask other people to promote for me, I don't want it to be like, oh, this is a big thing they have to make like time for and they have to plan for. No, they could literally hold their little finger on my message, copy it, take the graphic, save it to my photos, go on social media and post it within 60 seconds of me sending the DM. That's what we're going for. It's not complex. It's not complicated. So when you have written a post about the thing, just take that and give it to them. Now, which offers are the best to start with when you're asking people to promote with you? So people who've already bought your thing and entry-level offers are the easiest. Okay, so if I'm going to say, hey, Lauren, will you share my my $30,000 book offer on social media? And then you're gonna have to go through like a 2-hour masterclass so I can teach you all the things that we do in this program and why we're different than other publishing companies. And then, we can have 2 or 3 conversations, and then we're gonna then be able to drill this down and come up with a PowerPoint presentation. Like Lauren is gonna be like, I'm good. I'm good. Don't ask people to promote offers that are complex, hard to understand, or really meant to be an upsell for people who are already in your business and in your ecosystem. When people are already in, if people have already went through my rich mixer and my mastermind, and if they've already been in power moves and they've already done the client a day club, then me telling about, my book program is going to be easy. It's just like one more conversation. Sometimes they'll ask me about it, but that's not an ideal thing to put out as a front-facing offer and then ask other people to promote for me. That's making it hard instead of easy. We want to keep it easy. So let's make sure we've got this all straight. We're going to borrow other people's audiences by getting other people to talk about us and promote us and to share our thing. But we're not asking them to talk about our thing if we haven't talked about our thing. In day 2, we establish that. That would be weird. I don't talk about my business, Amy, but would you like to talk about my business? Nah, we ain't doing that. Who do we ask? We ask people that we observe that are already respected, already established. already know what they're doing. And or we ask people who have been our clients, who have had an experience with us. How do we make it easy for them? We give them a graphic, a link, and copy. And the copy needs to be very simple. Don't give them your long form post. Give them something that's short and punchy. And in that copy, it needs to say what people get as a result of buying the thing. And I don't mean 4 calls and 2 PDFs. I mean, what do they get? What changes in their life, business, health, relationships, money? What changes? That one big, bold promise needs to be obvious. If you never promote it alone again, I can guarantee you, you will make way more money. You will get way more opportunities. You'll be in front of way more people, and you will have way more fun. I want to give a specific example so you can quantify this. And I have highlighted Courtney, and I've promoted Courtney, and I have thanked Courtney in the past, but I want to give this example again. So last July, I did a step in the business, and I'm gonna talk about this in a future video. It's gonna be part of this series. I did an event, a networking event, and I just invited everyone on social media to come to this networking event because I wanted to be able to see people in action. I wanted to hear from them, ask them questions, so then I could create offers for Network Like the Rich. So this was pre-offers in my business. I hosted this networking event. Courtney, someone I didn't know from Adam, attended the Zoom. And she made some good connections on that call. And then later, she bought into the Network Like the Rich. Like, she entered our world. And then in November, I was promoting a year-end event. And Courtney posted on social media that she was attending the year-end event and that she wanted her friends to attend with her. Now, I should have double-checked the numbers before I got on here, but I want to say that Courtney was responsible for 20 to 30 of those tickets. There was over 100 tickets sold. Courtney's post led to 20 or 30 people buying, somewhere in this range. Now, after that event, immediately after that event, I said, if you want to network together all of 2026, I'm going to give you an irresistible offer to join Rich Mixer for the year. Now, a lot of her people bought my year membership to Rich Mixer. So they initially bought a $12 ticket. Most of them bought $77 into Rich Mixer, but that's not where it stopped. Then I went into Rich Mixer and I said, and everyone who had bought, basically everyone who had bought from me, and I said, I'm putting together this mastermind. Do you want to join it? Now, I believe it was 4 or 5 of Courtney's people bought into the mastermind. Substantially more money. Now, some of the people who bought a ticket, the Rich Mixer, and the mastermind also bought into Power Moves. And some of the people who bought into all 4 of those bought at least 2 of my other digital courses that are just add-ons on my sales pages. So Courtney, by sharing a post on social media and saying, I'm going to this thing, do you want to come with me? Courtney has contributed, I would say, over $10,000 to my business because she shared a post on social media. Now, if you multiply that out to the 100 people who have shared stuff, okay, Courtney's a superstar. She's a good example. But I will tell you, Lauren posted about my Rich Mixer offer and she said that she joined. And I know that 3 people joined because she posted. Megan posted about something that I was doing, and I know for a fact 6 people joined because she posted and it was confirmation. When people start seeing you, your stuff, and your offers coming from every direction on multiple platforms, they go, I'm stupid for not doing this. Everybody's doing this. This person is everywhere. She's omnipresent. This is the effect it has. It's not one person saying, I'm good at what I do. I have a lot of experience. You should work with me. It's literally feeling like this whole 360-degree worldview. Everyone is talking about you and how amazing you are and that they're involved with you, and they should be too. You see that effect? You see the difference that makes? This is what we're after. This is the secret sauce. This is acceleration. This is multiplication. You can get one new client at a time. You can do one thing at a time, or you can literally take these giant, bigger steps and multiply your progress. You can also completely, and just like that, change how you're perceived on the internet. I'm just kind of like a lesser known person, and people don't really know who I am, and people don't really think I'm cool, and people don't really like want me yet. If you want people to want you and you want people to move towards you, get other people to talk about you, it works like a freaking charm. Was this helpful today? Do you feel ready to go take one step? So what's your action item today? I want you to leave here and I want you to at least one person, preferably 3. For some of you, you could do 5. I want you to go ask one person, would you promote, if I gave you everything you needed, would you go promote, or would you go post this on social media for me? If I gave you everything that you needed, if I had the questions and the format, would you go live with me on social media? If I gave you the email, would you go email your list? Would you let me do a free training in your Facebook group if I promised to give your audience something valuable? This is what you're going to get off of here and go do. At least one. Start the process. And then what I want you to do is begin to think like this. I was with the Koreans for 3 years, so I began to think like a Korean. I want you to be around me, and I want you to think like this so that every single thing you do, this is baked in. This is actually part of the strategy. You don't do anything without thinking about who is going to do the promotion with me, who's going to talk about this with me. You're going to handle your testimonials entirely differently. Everything is baked in that other people are doing this with me. So of course I want you to come to the live event. But if you want this to be your practice, I want you to come into the mastermind. We've got a few spots left. We'll be together for the year. You will know how to dramatically change the way you do business so that having 30 to 100 people move toward you is just how it is. If you want to work with 30 to 100 people, great, you go work with them. If you don't, and you want to cherry pick from those ones who your favorite people are and who you best work with, then you go do that. If you never want to promote alone again, and if you literally want to have power partners and referral partners that are constantly scanning their world for you, this is where we practice it over and over and over again. Excellent. Barbara just did 15. See, that doesn't surprise me. Those are the kind of people in my world. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Tomorrow we're going to shift gears a bit. Tomorrow I'm going to share the biggest mistake I made in the last 9 months. It almost cost me a lot. How I corrected it quickly, but how you can avoid it from the get-go. And we have to throw in a little fun with a heavier topic. So I've put together the 5 personalities that you most want to avoid in your business and that you never, ever want to have associated with you, definitely will never promote with you. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. The big mistake, the 5 people you're going to avoid so that you do not have to have costly mistakes. I'll see you then. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.